Okay, so an interesting story emerged this week that Take-Two, the publisher, was looking to actually take on and complete the development of Perfect Dark, a game that was shut down by Microsoft in its latest wave of layoffs. Apparently, a deal couldn't come to pass based on long-term ownership of the Perfect Dark franchise. John, I'm going to come to you first on this one. It's a shame, isn't it, that Perfect Dark is just not going to happen at this point. Extra levels of shame also, bearing in mind that it could have maybe got there but didn't. This one's really, really tricky, isn't it?
Yeah, this is wild, man, because everything we've heard rumbling from within suggests that this game actually could have gotten to the finish line in a reasonable amount of time. It took a long time to get off the ground, but it sounds like Crystal Dynamics and their partner studios were actually making really good progress on this. And it's more like the initiative side of things wasn't really able to work all that well,
right,
in terms of driving the themes and story stuff. A lot of egos clashing, stuff like that. From what we've heard anyway. And this could have been a great chance to bring it back. And I'm honestly like shocked that that Microsoft didn't push for this more, because let's say, Take-Two takes over at this point, right? Perfect Dark now, it's still ingrained as something that's associated with Microsoft because of the Rare acquisition, even if it's completely separate at this point. Having this game release at all, I think still would have been seen as a win, and Microsoft would have gotten some good press out of it, and it would have still come to Xbox. And it's not like the game, this game's still in development. Even if it continued as it was, it still would have come to every console anyway. So it's not like it would have been them losing an exclusive.
Right.
So I'm sure the legal discussions within, there was probably things that each side was getting tripped up over and didn't want to compromise on, but somebody really should have, because they're robbing not only the world of what could have been a really cool game, and I think it would have been. The studios working on this, they know what they're doing. And two, it also means layoffs.
Yeah.
It sucks. And Crystal Dynamics, man, they've had a rough time lately. Like the whole Avengers thing that they did, like that was part of that push towards games as a service that has burned so many studios over and over again. They got out of that. I can't say it was like a giant failure, but it definitely wasn't the success that they were looking for. And then they get wrapped up in this. So I really hope whatever they're doing with Tomb Raider next, is strong.
Yeah.
And does continue as planned, because they sure need it.
Mm-hmm. And of course, there were another round of layoffs at Crystal Dynamics announced this week.
I know,
which, tied into what's happening with Perfect Dark. You can't help but maybe think that there's a link there. Alex, this kind of calls into question Microsoft's sort of stewardship of Perfect Dark generally, really. It just seems to have been mismanaged.
Horribly mismanaged, actually. Degree. Yeah, I feel like, because the original studio behind the Perfect Dark franchise, Rare, is now, unfortunately for Rare, I feel, and maybe they feel differently, that's fine, but at least from my perspective, they're just like the Sea of Thieves studio now. And they haven't been Rare for 20 years at this point. And they give the franchise to a whole group of teams, let it kind of wallow and have to bring on other studios to finish it, and those studios are doing like the bulk of the work, for once you hear, in a lot of areas. And then to get it to this point, lay off everyone, and then not allow it to continue on under others' stewardship, and then they didn't do anything with the IP anyway that was worth it. Like, why not just let it go at that point and cut your losses, right? Is the IP worth it for some sort of revival in 10 years again under another studio or something like that, or some sort of transmedia project? I think definitely not. And I think my interest is gone at that point if Microsoft's at the helm again, because I don't trust them to do it right. And I think this really, really does suck a lot. And I just don't understand the decision-making process behind almost anything that happened on this project beyond what, the studios that came in, and they seem to have done a good job. That video they showed off last year, it looked like there was potential there for something really, really cool. But we'll just now never, ever see it.
I'm kind of curious about what happens to all of the work that's done on these projects. I mean, it just disappears into the ether. Years of work, tens of millions of dollars, maybe even hundreds of millions of dollars investment into these projects just disappears, goes up in smoke. I mean, the other classic example would be what happened rather with the multiplayer The Last of Us game, Naughty Dog, which had a huge amount of investment put into it. Do those assets just get filed away and never seen again? I mean, it seems like a colossal waste of time and effort, which is kind of, what can I say, a bit of a shame, really. I don't really know what to say about this. It sounds like there's a lot of push and pull over who actually owns the IP at the end of it. And I think, that's kind of like in games industry politics. There's not really too much that can be done about that, but it is just a shame that there was a lifeline thrown to this game, which did look extremely promising, and it's just going to come to nothing. And I guess the other thing, going back to what you were talking about, Alex, if you can't produce a Perfect Dark game, then I'd say it's highly unlikely we're ever going to see a Perfect Dark game, because the relevancy of the franchise is just going to diminish into nothingness.
Yep.
So that's not great either. Any final thoughts on this, John?
I mean, beyond what I've said, not really. It's a gosh darn shame. Mm-hmm. I really wanted to play this, and everything makes it sound like it wasn't just smoke and mirrors. It was actually coming along well. Mm-hmm. And it just needed that extra time to get to the finish line. And there's so much invested in it that it's a shame to just throw it all away like this. I hope it leaks.
Yeah, me too.